Fluorescent lights hummed a low, migraine-inducing pitch against the sterile office walls. A vacuum cord tangled around a tired man's heavy work boots. One wrong turn down the executive hallway. One unlatched mahogany door. That was all it took for an invisible maintenance worker to crash into a billionaire's heavily guarded reality. The industrial lemon cleaner didn't smell like real lemons. It smelled like chemicals and desperation, a sharp artificial tang that clawed at the back of Thomas's throat. He dragged the heavy mop across the polished marble of the 42nd floor, the wet strands slapping against the baseboards with a rhythmic wet thwack. It was 11:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. The city outside the floor-to-ceiling windows was a sprawling grid of orange sodium lights and moving headlights. But inside Apex Holdings, the air was stagnant. Cold, dry, and filtered through miles of aluminum ductwork. Thomas stopped to lean his weight against the aluminum mop handle. His lower back screamed a dull, throbbing ache, radiating from his lumbar spine down to his right knee. He was 34, but his joints felt 50. The dark blue polyester uniform clung to his shoulder blades, stiff with dried sweat and smelling faintly of stale coffee. The remnants of a spilled cup he'd scrubbed out of the break room carpet 3 hours ago. He dug a calloused thumb into his eye socket, trying to rub away the grit. He wasn't thinking about the multi-billion-dollar acquisitions that happened on these floors during the day. He didn't care about the market shares or the stock prices crawling across the ticker screens in the lobby. Thomas was doing mental math. Rent was due in 4 days, $80 short. The overtime tonight covered $40. If he picked up a weekend shift at the diner, that was another $50. It left enough for milk bread and maybe the asthma inhaler refill for Sarah. Sarah. The thought of his 7-year-old daughter sent a familiar heavy pang through his chest. She was asleep right now, curled up on the sagging floral sofa in Mrs. Gable's apartment, 2 floors down from their own. He pictured the way she gripped the edge of her fleece blanket, the slight wheeze in her breath when the radiator made the apartment air too dry. He hated leaving her there. He hated the pity in Mrs. Gable's eyes when he handed over a wad of crumpled $5 bills every Friday. But a single dad with a high school diploma and a bad knee didn't have the luxury of pride. Thomas hoisted the heavy plastic bucket, the dirty water sloshing against the rim, and moved toward the service elevator. The wheels squeaked a high, irritating pitch that echoed down the empty corridor. He keyed his badge against the scanner. A sharp beep, a green light. The doors parted. His route sheet crumpled in his back pocket said he was supposed to finish the 42nd floor and clock out. But the night manager, a perpetually sweaty man named Greg, with a clipboard and a complex, had caught him in the locker room. "Top floor needs a sweep, Tommy. Someone left a mess in the boardroom. Don't touch the desk in the main office. Just empty the bins and get out." The 50th floor, the penthouse suite, the domain of Evelyn Croft. Even the night crew spoke of the CEO in hushed, cynical tones. She wasn't just a boss. She was an abstract concept of power. A woman who gutted failing tech startups, sold them for parts, and fired thousands without a flinch. Thomas had seen her once months ago. She had walked past him in the lobby, surrounded by men in sharp suits. He remembered the sharp click of her heels against the granite, the faint scent of something expensive and floral, bergamot maybe, and cold cedar. She hadn't looked at him. To her, he was just part of the architecture, a moving fixture in a blue shirt holding a trash bag. That was how he preferred it. Invisibility was safe. Invisibility meant he kept his job. The elevator chimed softly. The doors opened to the 50th floor, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. Down below, the carpet was thin industrial, meant to withstand thousands of scuffing shoes. Up here, the carpet was a plush, dark charcoal that swallowed the sound of his boots entirely. The fluorescent glare was replaced by warm recessed lighting that cast soft shadows against walls paneled in real mahogany, not veneer. Thomas left the mop bucket in the vestibule. He unclipped the heavy black trash bag from his belt and grabbed his microfiber cloth. His pulse ticked up a fraction of a beat. He wasn't supposed to be here. He hated being in the executive spaces. It felt like trespassing in a museum where you couldn't afford a single artifact. He walked down the silent corridor. The air up here smelled different. Not ozone and stale coffee, but expensive leather lemon oil and the faint lingering trace of ozone from high-end servers. The boardroom was easy. 3 crumpled coffee cups, a stack of shredded documents, and a whiteboard wiped clean. He tied off the trash bag, the plastic crinkling loudly in the dead quiet of the room. He checked his watch. 11:45 p.m. If he hurried, he could catch the 12:10 a.m. bus, save himself a mile of walking in the sleet, and be in bed by 1. He stepped out of the boardroom and looked down the hall at the final door. Evelyn Croft, Chief Executive Officer. The brass nameplate caught the dim light. The door was closed but not latched. A thin sliver of yellow light bled out from the crack, spilling onto the charcoal carpet. Thomas hesitated. The managers always said her office was off limits unless specifically requested, but Greg had said to